dressed and showing us what's happening on the ground. So this is great, and would love to welcome you, ma'am. Thank you so much for being here. I think you represent City, which is essentially financing the startup ecosystem as well as the SME ecosystem. So ma'am has just joined us. So introduction about her is that she's the GM of City in Delhi. So I'll start with her. So ma'am, I think in the deep tech domain is fairly new for India. So, and all this drone technology and all is fairly new to India. It did not exist about 3 years back. So your lending policies, how are they adapting to this particular deep tech domain? Because there's a long gestation period, and obviously it's a bit more risky than your usual manufacturing of table shares or something like that. So how do you look at this particular sector, and how is your credit adapting to this? Maybe equity as well, in case you look at equity, if you want to talk about equity investing, because Citi does a lot of venture investing as well. So would you want to just talk a little bit about that?
When we talk about that, it is always the innovation that is being done at the domestic level, which requires patient capital, and patient capital always starts with equity. So the fund which was launched by Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji in 2016, FFS 1.0, 10,000 crore, is being managed by Citi, wherein we invest in AIFs, and AIFs in turn invest in startups, where the patient capital is provided in the form of equity. We are also doing debt in the form of venture debt and doing the direct financing as per our mandate.
And is it more risky? Have you seen more NPAs, etc. happen over there, or have you had to edit your credit policy? I'm talking about more from a credit point of view, not equity point of view.
From credit point of view, we have just started. With the new schemes. There are schemes like DigiCash, wherein working capital up to ₹5 crores are given on the basis of the strength of the company and other parameters. There is cash defense, wherein for working on the orders given especially for the defense sector, the credit is provided along with other working capital banker.
Okay.
And the third is GST Sahay, wherein you can opt for purchase-based invoice financing scheme or seller-based invoice financing scheme.
So that is pretty much as usual as it would occur.
Yes.
So I think equity is there, major innovation and patient capital is taking place to fund this particular sector and growth of India. Right?
For patient capital, equity is the one source.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Mr. Singh, sorry to keep you waiting. So you've been instrumental in sort of getting us ready for the next stage of growth, right? So we initially until now were just seen as assemblers of equipment, etc. Right? Now we are moving up the value chain, where what is happening is that in electronics you're probably going into a little bit more OSAT, a little bit more in manufacturing, maybe semiconductor space, wafer space, maybe not as much right now, but we surely get there. 28 mm and NM, we started manufacturing chips, etc. So how are you seeing the skill part of India develop and adapt to that? Are you facing a lot of challenges producing people at scale, or not really? I mean, would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Sure, thank you. First of all, gratitude to PhD Chambers for giving this opportunity, and I'm really happy with the panel which is there. And also congratulations to all of you for spending a valuable time in coming here. That means you really need it. I'm sure you really want to do something which you're already doing, and you want to do something really big for the country. See, I see that there are a lot of startups here, so I'll make it more relevant to the startups really. See, the ecosystem of the scaling is really transforming pretty fast. When it comes to, in fact, you made a very relevant point of moving up the value chain. See, frankly speaking, that's where the efforts are required. And let's talk about the unemployability first, why the whole epicenter of the evolving nature is. Frankly speaking, the unemployment figures for the country is less than the single digit. But you'll be shocked if I tell you that the number of employments in the formal sector is also in single digits. I mean, that's the paradox. And almost 65% plus people are actually in low wage, self-employment or micro enterprises. 21% is the regular wages. So this is a kind of an ecosystem that we're working with. It's a huge task to basically transform this, and mostly If you talk about the AI value chain, right, let me break it into four parts, starting with the data and the chips, then the frontier models, then comes your deployments or the delivery part of it, and then the applications, right? We've seen a lot of startups and everybody coming into the applications part of it. That's the end use case, that's where the requirement is. But when it comes to the data and chips or the frontier models, or the fundamental models to work on, or what we call them as LLMs, let me make a little distinction, please don't waste your time in that. That's more of a sovereign function. And I have been pitching to the governments that if somebody has to invest money and resources, it has to be the government funded project or the government itself who is getting into the chip manufacturing part of it. With ISM2, the government has done that beautifully. Also coming to the LLMs, I think we really have very matured large language models. We don't need to waste our resources and time on developing LLMs. Let's get into the SLMs, which are also industry specific. If you pick a few industries, it's about health sector, it's about infrastructure, manufacturing, or it is agriculture, or it is logistics, or it is education. I think that's where the real requirement of developing this agentic AI is more important. So if startups have to work in, if the industry has to work in, it should be the application of the delivery part of it, LLMs and the data and the chips. I think we should leave it as a sovereign function because I'm sure there's long lead time, there's a lot of resources required, it's very capital intensive with a high cost barriers to it. Now, frankly talking about, since it's more specific to the drones and the robotics, see, I mean, it really pinches me. I mean, I'll tell you a little story to just motivate you. How many of us know about TV2 actually? Anyone has heard of term TV2? You know what happened in the May of 2025? Ops Sindoor happened?
Yeah.
So, what did our all-pervasive adversary threw a swarm of drones at us, right? But we had the anti-drone system, Akash Tigr, which actually we completely destroyed all the drones successfully. Before that, TV2s were used somewhere else. And that's February of 2022. And that's the largest armored convoy the world has ever seen in this century was moving from Russia to Kyiv to encircle the capital of Ukraine to bring them on their knees. And that convoy actually spread into 65 kilometers. Hundreds of thousands of impenetrable steel armor moving to Kyiv. The world has never heard of anything like this. But what decimated it, can you imagine? It's TV2s. There's this swarm of drones which really had this high precision of munitions, which destroyed the fuel tanks, and destroyed the logistics, which destroyed these convoys. Such precision firing on tanks which nobody would have thought. And TV2s are not some high-speed stealth drones, by the way. They're very sluggish, lethargic, big-looking, propelled, drones which are even low altitude. If you really had a good shot, you can bring them down with a slingshot. But they made all the difference. Now, the story is not about what happened in Kyiv or what happened in India. The story is about the TV2. And the story goes back to 2000, when Turkey was completely going through the economic rupture. And they had a lot of problems with the civil war popping up. And they asked for predators from US, the Congress delayed it. They asked for herons from Israel, they got herons. But they didn't get the mechanics to repair it. They did not get the payloads to basically arm them. So that's when this young boy who was studying in MIT, the Turkish young boy, he came back and he said, I will do it. And he asked the government to do it, and it's history. 2015, he developed TV2s. And that's where the history, the complete geography of Turkey changed forever. And that's the kind of motivation stories that we are actually looking at. You see the whole, can I continue or probably? Yeah, please end it there. So I think that's where I would like to say, but see, we teach, highly qualified, my peers, I come from IIT Delhi, I've seen in IITs, they go and prosper the Silicon Valleys of the world, but there are few who go abroad to MITs, they come back and prosper their countries. I think that's the real motivation for us.
Thank you so much, and really appreciate your sharing your thoughts. And I found one thing very interesting. You're saying that concentrate on the application layer, but the government then should concentrate on the chips as well as the frontier LLMs. But follow-up question to that, sir, is that, and I would probe you on this a little bit, is that historically, majority of the innovation has really come from the private sector, because government, if they invent any technology or it does not release to the public immediately. it's a private sector which actually releases to everyone, right? Now, will that be a constraint, like if the government, let's say, build some LLM technology, will reserve it for DRDO or ISRO or the HALs of the world, and release to the public for them to use, and how will constant innovation happen? Because if you look at any innovation, it's really come for masses from the public, from the private sector, not from the public sector. So how will that work?
Yeah, I mean, globally speaking, that's a trend. But speaking specifically for India as a country, I'm saying, that is one of the distinction I'm trying to make, because we already have the developed ecosystem around the world. So for somebody to getting into developing something like Anthropic, I think can somebody do it?
No, I think we don't have the money, neither we have the patient capital to
somebody to build
$1 billion, and the only unicorn to come out of that is Samsung, which is now doing decently well. But don't you think that the government needs to encourage more and more money into the private sector for them to start working around this?
Yes, certainly. I mean, there is no prohibiting policy to it. I mean, this is like, I mean, the cost benefit analysis that I would do.
I understand.
Why would somebody want to let somebody? And even I don't think we need an LLM. I don't know. We may have a consensus on it. Somebody is wanting to do it very well. We need a model of our own, because ultimately it's the brains that.
And let's say the defense sector wants to use LLM model, like Latvia is feeding US Army and US Defense, and the Pentagon. We cannot afford to use a similar model like Anthropic or OpenAI models for our defense purpose.
That's true. Again,
we'll be sending all the data there, left, right, and center, and they will be getting trained on our scale data. So we definitely need an LLM, a sovereign LLM. There is no question about that. But very interesting points you made. Real food for thought. And Saurabh, I'll come to you now. I think from more of an edtech perspective, because you're an edtech guy, I guess, coming out of ATM scene, scaling up to millions of users. Now, how important do you think has STEM become? Do you think many more people will take up to STEM, that is, science and engineering and maths?
I think STEM was always important, and our education system was relatively biased towards STEM. In fact, I can share, I wanted to take commerce with computer science in my and my school said that there are so many options with science, but you cannot take commerce with science. So new education policy solves that. So STEM is important, but I personally have a very different contrarian point of view in the age of AI. So I think STEM, lot of things in STEM will be done by AI, because physics, chemistry generally don't change. So AI is better than it. In fact, some of the
so level playing field हो गया अब ये कह रहे हैं for a non-STEM person.
For a non-STEM person, so you can be from arts, you can be from commerce, you can be doing now science and technology on your own front. But it will be relatively difficult for science person doing non-tech work.
Is it?
So that is the interesting thing I can share you. So I was mentoring this girl who was presenting at IIT Kharagpur. So she had created her own micro. But interestingly, I was telling her, I said, "Itna profit hona chahiye for valuation and all," and she said, "Sir, wo revenue or profit ke beech mein kya difference?" So I was started and I thought मैंने तो 11th में पढ़ाते हैं commerce में. And अभी विजय Paytm's founder, he went to his alma mater, he went to Delhi College of Engineering, DTU, and he said कि आप engineering कर रहे हो but accounts also सीखो. But as a startup, ये मतलब हमारे एजुकेशन सिस्टम की बहुत बड़ी गड़बड़ है कि आप ड्रोन स्टार्टअप खोल रहे हो, बट देखनी तो बैलेंस शीट पड़ेगी. ड्रोन ऑटोमेट हो जाता है, बैलेंस शीट तो आपको ही देखनी पड़ेगी, वैल्यूएशन.
That's very good.
So I think in the future, art science commerce specifically मैंने मतलब because I have been in edtech, I think art science commerce broadly ना कॉलेज के लॉजिस्टिक्स है कि आप आर्ट साइंस कॉमर्स करते हो. जब आप प्रैक्टिकली कर रहे हो तो आर्ट साइंस कॉमर्स एक साथ हो जाएगा. जस्ट टू गिव यू एन एग्जांपल, आई टेक अ स्टार्टअप मास्टर क्लास फॉर स्टार्टअप इंडिया, तो उसमें मैं एक स्लाइड देता हूँ. सो टेस्ला इज द वन ऑफ द मोस्ट डिजायरेबल आर्ट है, उसमें डिजाइन. टेस्ला साइंटिफिकली ऑब्वियसली इज अ गुड इनोवेशन, एंड टेस्ला इज वन ऑफ द चीपेस्ट कार्स. मतलब आपको इंडिया के अंदर चीपेस्ट मर्सिडीज इज 50 lakhs. टेस्ला इज आल्सो 50 lakhs नाउ. And Tesla import हो रही है, Mercedes half India में बन रही है, तो Mercedes पे कम लगती है डीलर. So Tesla is cheaper than Mercedes. Tesla is having better technology than Mercedes, and Tesla is as good as Mercedes in design. तो you have to have all three. अगर आप एक कार हमारे यहाँ तो देश में एक और प्रॉब्लम what I have seen and sir excuse me but गवर्नमेंट में मैंने एक चीज देखी, आप गवर्नमेंट की कोई भी वेबसाइट देखो तो उसमें क्या होता है, इंजीनियरिंग तो पूरी है, साइट तो चलती है, बट डिजाइन की गड़बड़ है, यूजर एक्सपीरियंस इज वेरी गुड. आई थिंक वेयर startups can help. In fact, in Paytm we are trying to do this. So I think एक जो user experience है ना, वो digital India में somehow missing है. And user आप site बना रहे हो, app बना रहे हो, पर वो user experience Zomato, Paytm वाला नहीं आता है.
In fact, the research is the top 10 qualifications required for the next generation of this.
एक चीज also I want to add at this point of time, I had that in mind. So we all know roles will change the world, but interestingly, world same ही रहता है. Just to give you an example, so Jeff Bezos was asked कि things are changing so fast, how do you keep track? So he said कि दुनिया में कोई चीज चलती आई है, वो रहेगी ही, focusing on those things which remain same. He says people want for Amazon cheaper goods, faster delivery, and more SKUs, more options on the site. और वही आप
Is that why Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk don't go wrong well?
बट बड़ा मैच्योर बात लगी मुझे, बिकॉज़ चाणक्य के ज़माने में भी आप यही करते थे कि फास्टर डिलीवरी चाहिए, चीपर प्राइस चाहिए, मोर गुड्स चाहिए, और आप 1000 इयर्स एगो बाद आप भी जाओगे ईयर 3000 में तो वहाँ भी वही चाहिए. तो व्हाट आई वुड लाइक टू शेयर, ये मैंने एक कंट्रीब्यूट पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू में इसलिए शेयर कर रहा हूँ कि जो अच्छे टेक्नोलॉजिस्ट हैं ना, तो आई हैव सीन विजय वेरी क्लोजली, आई नो अबाउट भावेश एंड Defender वगैरह, because we are from all startups वगैरह में हैं. And I've seen the Indian IT companies. I was in National Product Council also. तो हम तो generally IT companies कैसे start करती है, we have to do something in AI and देखो उसको कैसे use करते हैं. And विजय कैसे start करते हैं? He sees a problem and then he sees ये problem कैसे solve करनी है. And technology becomes a tool to solve that problem. तो आप और ऐसे जेफ बेजोस वाली चीज को देखा, और इनफैक्ट मैं एलोन मस्क का भी ऐड करना चाहूंगा कि व्हाटएवर एलोन मस्क इज डूइंग टेक्निकली इज गुड, बट यूएस पीपल आर क्रिएटिंग मोर प्रॉब्लम्स एंड सॉल्यूशंस. प्लास्टिक इज वन एग्जांपल. अभी हमने देखा कि एआई में बहुत कुछ हो रहा है, ड्रोन्स वगैरह में हो रहा है, तो यूक्रेन रशिया वॉर एंड ऑल दोस वॉर्स, अभी दुबई में क्या हुआ, तो न्यूअर टेक्नोलॉजीज आर क्रिएटिंग मोर प्रॉब्लम्स आल्सो. सो एज अ entrepreneur आपको ये देखना है कि where are the problems. Don't focus on technologies, focus on problems. I'm not saying don't focus on technology का मतलब ये नहीं है कि आप वो पुराने ज़माने के घोड़ा गाड़ी चलाना शुरू कर दो. What I'm trying to say is see problem. मुझे तो ये लगने लगा है कि every person will have to get some drone gun or some drones for saving the house. तो मेरे घर पे अगर ड्रोन उड़ के आ जाए तो मैं क्या करूँगा? So there are a lot of opportunities on retail level, or DLF would ideally need some drones for saving cyber city from some attacks. So I think those kind of that is it. I think 2 साल पहले. हाँ, मतलब मुझे तो क्लियर लगता है. अब एक एग्जांपल देखो, मेरे घर के सामने ड्रोन उड़ रहा था, किसी ने वो वीडियो वाला उड़ा रहा था अपने घर के ऊपर. And I thought, मैंने कहा कि मेरे घर की शीशे पे आके लग जाए या कुछ गोली मारे तो मैं क्या करूँगा? I don't have any defense. But the way things are going in Iran and Ukraine, I think 5 साल के बाद ये होगा, साइबर सिटी पे आतंकवादी आएगा और वो ड्रोन से गोली मार देगा. And at that time you need a startup to save cyber city. So those are the kind of opportunities जो आप देख ही नहीं पाते हैं. आप सिर्फ LLM बनाने में, he was saying, आप LLM बनाने में लगे रहे तो which is a losing game. In fact, Vijay had tweeted अभी recently he was exploring and 5 billion was the cost. तो मासा told him कि 5 billion से कम में नहीं होगा, कोई फायदा नहीं होगा. तो what I'm trying to say is कि don't try to copy Americans. There are n number of opportunities जहाँ पर आप जाओगे और मिलेगा आपको options and try to create startups.
That's a very fair point. And आपने एक चीज बोली कि टेक्नोलॉजी पे फोकस मत करो, एक्चुअली प्रॉब्लम्स पे फोकस करो, चाहे आप बिलीव इन, क्योंकि टेक्नोलॉजी थोड़ी लेवल प्लेइंग फील्ड बन गई है कि वो बन जाएगी, आपको पता है कोई ना कोई बना देगा, बट फोकस ऑन द प्रॉब्लम एंड स्केलेबल प्रॉब्लम.
इस पे मैं एक लाइन कहता हूँ, मैं जनरली अपनी स्पीच में कहता हूँ, तो टेक्नोलॉजी इज लाइक अ कल्चर, चेंज होती रहती है. प्रॉब्लम 7 जन्मों की साथी हैं. तो आप 1000 साल पहले जाओ, लोगों की जो प्रॉब्लम थी 90% प्रॉब्लम आज की हुई है, बट जो टेक्नोलॉजीज हैं वो चेंज हो गई हैं बहुत ज़्यादा. तो डोंट फोकस ऑन टेक्नोलॉजी, फोकस ऑन प्रॉब्लम. टेक्नोलॉजी इज अ टूल फॉर सॉल्विंग दैट प्रॉब्लम.
So, thank you so much. And Doctor, you showed a lot of technologies, etc. But how do we get lab R&D out there in the open for masses to use and not only government to use? जैसे आप बहुत सारी चीजों पे काम कर रहे हो. Why can't the private sector embrace the technology? Why can't you sort of open source it in somehow, some way or form कि भाई हीरो होंडा को अपनी फैक्ट्री मैनेज करनी है या फिर आसपास के एरिया मैनेज करना है, वो भी आपकी टेक यूज करेंगे. तो वो कैसे करें? स्पिन ऑफ स्टार्टअप कैसे करें? How do you enable that ecosystem?
Yeah. Because we are not only focusing government related problem. As you said earlier, Bharat just told about the problems identified. Problems, उनको problems आते हैं solve करने के लिए. Example, like any state government having the problem, like canal road irrigation problem, canal road solutions, or road irrigation problem. This problem will come to CRI. So CRI chief will start the solutions using the adaptability of the new technologies. That is the starting point. That's why we have started like that. Even drone initiative like that. So bridge health monitoring we have started like 5 years back. So 6,000 bridges we have done in India. So we have identified the problem there because in a river bridges it is very difficult to monitor under the deck bridges and everything. It is incomplete kind of thing. So that we started the using of the drones. Similarly, like we have seen that like kilometer survey, we have used the high altitude road design, element design in China, India-China border. Then we have adapted the like drone unmanned aerial survey vehicle data, and we have designed. So we always like work with the industries, not alone with the government alone, because a lot of technology transfer recently we need with the industries. So spin-off companies also can be possible because once we develop the technology inside, but technology also will not come with like any alone problem. So the problem will be generated by the user, the public domain. The public domain, any kind of state government or central government, so that problem will be solution will be developed inside. Then we will have a like mass level lab to land. Lab to land can be done without industry partnership. This cannot be possible to change into lab to land. So that's why we have recently we have developed like biomedical and agriculture based technologies, and we have already technology transferred to the 26 companies as startup companies in India. So this is always we are ready. Like Central Road Research Institute is separate one of the institute from CSIR. So like we are working on road related highway infrastructure related problems. So definitely any spin-off companies or any kind of startup companies can also be possible to start in this area.
Yeah, no, excellent. So if there are representatives of PhD, CCR, how much time do we have? Accordingly, I will then. We have to 12 o'clock. So I think we have about 25 minutes. What I do is that I have a lot of follow-up questions, but better if we just ask people on the ground here. If you have certain specific questions, around drones, AI, and so on and so forth, and which panelists you want to ask, would love to get some questions on from the audience here. Sir, on the blue jacket, please. Sorry, I'll come to you next. Can we have the mic only? Please, if you can use the mic, and please also direct the question to a specific panel member if you can.
Dr. Sadhguru, Viksit, sir. Sir, how frequent, how quickly can you do a complete scan of a building or I would say, or a bridge, something like that? And how quickly you can produce the results in one sweep of the drone flight?
Okay, very good question, because the type of survey is very important. For example, if you want feasibility and detail and any kind of limit challenges. So the feasibility in a half an hour go, we can scan and measure the bridges, and you can collect the data and preliminary data. You want to examine in detail investigation, failure investigation, need much more time. Probably like in a one day, like you can do internally and all kind of the tools and data extracted and downloaded and do some kind of the traditional or conventional planning.
So have you done complete deep dive sort of analysis?
Yes, we have done one complete bridge by using the drone survey, and we have tested our approaches in lab, and technology was transferred recently.
So I wanted to understand, so let's say if I take an image, I see some grass and then I take the drone and that points the hammer or the impact, and then it takes the data.
Yeah.
So in a complete day, you're saying you have that's the actual frequency of having a bridge scanned.
Yeah, exactly. So the site itself, you have seen the failure, the issues. There itself, in half an hour, you can able to see the data. And if you want to remedial measures, definitely need some kind of the methods. Those methods to be studied in detail. Then you come with the remedial measures.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my other question would be to Niti. That would be that this is something that I asked yesterday also, but I didn't get a quick answer. So this is basically, so what is the frequency of the page operation of funds or funds page? And can it also display how much fund is actually transferred or delivered versus sanctioned?
Exact data.
So
So out of the 10,000, we have almost committed 13,000.
out of 10,000 you committed 13,000.
10,000 crores we got, and 13,000 has already been committed. Almost.
So that's a sanction amount. How much has been delivered amongst the years, and what would have been the frequency of delivery of those funds?
The frequency, see the AIFs invest in startups and the AIFs invest in startups and they come to us, for doing the investments. And as soon as, we receive the request, we process the request within 2 months.
So the way I see as a startup, I see most of the AIFs are either Bangalore based or Mumbai based. You don't find many of them in Delhi. So you go
In
and
Delhi, there is one page called, you can see at,
so they have different case also.
There is a page FFS. When you click upon that, you will get all the details of the AIFs as well as those who are based in Delhi also. You will have the details, their contact details also.
So just a suggestion that if there can be any mandates with the number of AIFs in every city, mega city, that would be very much helpful for us startups. Because most of the time we go on online meetings, that doesn't give fruitful results. So it will be very much beneficial if we could go and ask for these AIFs to be in cities, some sort of mandate. If you're saying that you will invest in one city, you be there with an office. So that's not too much chargeable, for them. So in that way, we can connect them, they can come to our office and see what we are delivering. So I think that funding gap would at least be catered.
We can share it as a suggestion, for sure.
Thank you.
Good suggestion. So
see, there are a lot of funds in Delhi. Somehow I think you are not knowing about a lot of funds.
Right.
So one of the funds is Indian Angel Network is now having.
We know about that. We know about that.
So and there are a lot of. So a lot of funds are there. So best I think source will be Tycoon and Jao. You will get to know about a lot of.
That's one of the things I'm asking about.
Obviously Bangalore में ज़्यादा है, but मतलब I think Delhi में उतना बुरा हाल नहीं है कि हमें 90% Bangalore में जाना है. In fact, Bombay से better है Delhi में. Bombay particular से ज़्यादा better है. But ठीक है, I understand.
Then there are three categories again of the saving institutions. That 1, 2, 3 categories. We are talking about 0 to 3 year or 4 year. I'm looking at those fundings as well. So
Early stage basically.
Early stage fundings.
So just to give you, I would be starting a incubation program with some fund very soon. So in fact, अगर वो होता है तो you can get in touch with me. I can connect.
Thank you so much, sir. You had a question. Then I'll continue the moderation.
And we find that we are trying to introduce AI and smart manufacturing in various countries. Now, the question is that we talked about STEM, and what we find is that Dr. Vishay can also said that earlier, the brain changes chemically and now it's all manufacturing. But I find that even today, both engineering and non-engineering graduates are still very weak in maths and engineering, especially when it comes to AI. So don't you think that STEM needs to be strengthened?
See, I feel unfortunately we have gone to AI before going to HI. So human intelligence में कुछ improve हो सकता है as an edtech person I can tell. अनफॉर्चुनेटली मैंने आई स्टार्टेड अ कंपनी कॉल्ड अंकल मैथ लैब, हम कर भी रहे हैं, बट प्रॉब्लम ये हो रही है कि जब आप नॉन टेक सोल्यूशन लेके जाते हो किसी के सामने तो वो उसको लगता है थोड़ा नॉन टेक है, आजकल तो ये लाओ ये लाओ वो लाओ। आपको बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग सोल्यूशन लाता हूँ। मेरी डॉटर एक दिन मुझे लग रही है पीछे कि मैथ बहुत डिफिकल्ट है, तो वी हैड क्रिएटेड मैथ कॉमिक्स। तो मैथ कॉमिक्स से पढ़ाया, उसके नंबर 90% आ गए मैथ के एग्जाम में, तो शी वॉज वेरी हैप्पी। और मैं IIT कानपुर में मैंने स्टूडेंट से पूछा, मैंने कहा व्हाट इज पाई? नोबडी वुड टेल द मीनिंग ऑफ पाई। सबको वो 3.14 पता है, 22/7 पता है। ऐसे ही ई, अभी मैं किसी इंजीनियर से पूछा तो मैंने कहा ई क्या होता है, तो आपको ई पता है बट आपको वो ई का कंसेप्ट नहीं पता क्या होता है। तो अनफॉर्चुनेटली मैथ स्पेशली 9th से जो मैथ आती है बहुत ही घटिया तरीके से पढ़ाई जाती है, एंड दैट इज व्हाट वी वांट टू सॉल्व इन माय ओन स्टार्टअप। एंड दैट शोज जब आप प्रॉब्लम आती है, जब आप इंजीनियर देखते हो, तो बहुत सारे इंजीनियर, एक एग्जांपल देता हूँ। So I was one of the first people who started mobile app company in India. तो मैंने 2005 में I recruited an engineer and I wrote India's first book of mobile app development, Java पे जो mobile apps बनती थी। I gave him my book and I am not an engineer, मैं chartered accountant by degree, but I wrote India's first book. As well as that trained more than 1,000 engineers in Bangalore, Hyderabad, etc. on Java and mobile technologies. तो मैंने उसको बुक दी, मैंने कहा स्टार्ट रीडिंग इट एंड प्रोग्रामिंग कर। विद दैट जिंदगी भर तो मैंने कोचिंग ली है, इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेज में कोचिंग से पहुंचा, पर आज आप कह रहे हो सेल्फ स्टडी करके शुरू कर दूं, तो वो तो हो नहीं सकता। अब देन आई केम टू रियलाइज, मैंने कहा इंडिया में तो बहुत बुरा हाल है, क्योंकि आप तो एज्यूम कर सकते ना कि कोई इंजीनियर है, आपने इसको रखा और हो जाएगा, तो दैट
थोड़ा सा सिल्वर प्लेटर देना पड़ता है, खुद नहीं सीखना है।
हाँ, वही बेसिकली क्या है, मतलब सेल्फ स्टडी 80% पीपल इन इंडिया कैन नॉट डू सेल्फ स्टडी। स्टेम में और प्रॉब्लम है बिकॉज आकाश इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ द वर्ल्ड वहाँ ज़्यादा है, अकाउंट कॉमर्स वाले फिर भी थोड़ा बहुत सेल्फ स्टडी इसलिए लेते हैं, और कोचिंग का फैशन कम है।
So we'll move on. So Dr. Manvendra, आपसे एक सवाल है बेसिकली कि अभी हमारे पास करीबन ड्रोन में जितनी तेजी से बढ़ रहा है सब कुछ, करीबन 1 लाख ट्रेन पायलट्स की जरूरत होगी या होनी चाहिए, राइट? एंड more than that, and technicians and all that. So how are we sort of bridging the gap? Because अभी तो कुछ भी नहीं है, thousands में भी नहीं होते हमारे पास जो so what are we doing to actually bridge the gap, and what are we doing to generate that kind of employment and scalability of people?
So see, there are a lot of programs that have been rolled out by the central government, also a lot of states also promoting manufacturing and application-based programs for the drone development. When it comes to skilling, see, I mean, don't take me otherwise, but of course I agree with what you're saying. Our colleges of today have actually become the graveyards of employment. See, unfortunately, people who are coming out of colleges now, this is a scam, I call it, SCAM, that is suitably certified, but absolutely mediocre. So, I mean, we should not like that. So, that is why, see, we want to see, I'm the kind of person who will certainly come to you with a problem statement, but I want to tell you what to do about it. The solutions, as a Skill India part of Skill India program and Skilling India in electronics, including the semiconductors, we have a 5-star solution to these things. That first, the centers of excellence. In fact, you made a very valid point when we were talking to Dr. Shekhar. How do the private sector utilize the resources of the government to not only basically do the testing or do simulations, but also kind of use those facilities for fab and otherwise. So, in fact, one of the programs, even the Ministry of Skill Development and Employment has now, entrepreneurship has now come for, is the centers of excellence. So, we have almost like 10,000 training centers of Pan India, and this is, we work in partnership with the industrial training partners, we call them. So these are the people from the industry, the companies who basically give us their provides resources. There we mobilize our people, especially our focus is mainly tier 2, tier 3 schools. Because I personally believe that talent does not really confine to tier 1 cities. Everybody who wants to join a good college, good coaching, good employment, everybody is running to tier 1 cities, the metros. Everything is confined to the tier 1 cities, but our focus is to bring the resources back to tier 2, tier 3, because talent also resides there. Now, with these centers of excellence is one of the greatest models. But unfortunately, there was no standardization to that. So government has now mandated that every center of excellence should be registered, recognized, verified, and then the government projects can be given to those centers in perpetuity. I mean, they're not fly-by-the-night operators. There's people and their resources which will continue to remain. The second good model that has come about is the PM Setu project. The ITIs were created to cater for the 80% dropouts who don't go to colleges. I mean, really, if we talk about statistics, you'll know the real India. You know? I mean, we talk so much about college graduates. 80%, more than 80% people don't go to colleges. More than 70% people don't do their 11th and 12th in India. So that what do we do with these people? I mean, our demography must not become a challenge for our country. And there is something called as NEET. Abhi NEET ka itna bada wo chala tha, but not that NEET. NEET is neither in education, employment or training. ये लोग कहाँ हैं जो NEET में नहीं है वो जनता बंदर है. So you know, this is what is the ecosystem that we are actually looking at. So PMC, we are trying to identify the ITIs and bring the clusters around with the industry's participation. See, the whole focus of Western India is, I call it, do you find people who are day one job ready? 100% no. Industry 100% no. I mean 0.01% होना चाहिए था. यार ठीक है, at least I recruited one guy and he was job ready on day one. It never happens. There is what we are facing is a freshers apocalypse. I will never get a fresher who's day one job ready. I have to invest resources and time either to my companies abroad, get them trained and put them here, and then they think I'm too good for you, now I'm doing something else. That's the paradox the companies are facing. But now for the colleges, we really have a very beautiful program that's called the AEDP, that is Apprenticeship Embedded Degree Programs. And now that is being deployed and colleges are finding it amazingly good. Because what's happening is that while they're doing their degree programs, 3 years or 4 years, there's 1 year of apprenticeship, hands-on, the companies provide them the training, where they're not going to the college, they're going to the companies as real employees. They work there for a year, they get their stack, I mean the companies also get paid under the LAMP scheme. And when they come back and they graduate from the colleges, they not only have the college degrees, but they also have a certification of having done that particular hands-on training with the company. So company can also basically employ them, or anybody else can employ them. The best part is that these are all standardized. Somebody who is doing with an industry in Bihar can go and join in Bangalore at the same time.
Yeah. No, great, excellent. So we'll continue with the questions. We'll probably take 3 or 4 questions before we wrap up. So any other questions from the audience? Yes, sir. On.
Hello. You know, our country is facing a lot of problems with semiconductor chips, and home development requires a semiconductor chips and high quality cameras. So these are the main issues, and the supply from the China is banned. So it gives some sort of the speculation that these instruments might be delivered from grey area market. And second issue is that drone battery life is very slow. मतलब hardly a drone can run more than 30 hours, 30 minutes or so. So how to cope up with these two things?
So any specific panelist you want to dive?
Anyone can.
So see, semiconductor में things are improving. I can share. I would not name the. नहीं, मैं आपको ही बता रहा हूँ. So अभी recently I was in touch with the top management of a मतलब old business group मैं कह सकता हूँ. So they are exploring semiconductors. There are a lot of big corporates who are exploring these things like semiconductors. आपने टाटा का थोड़ी सुना ही होगा. I think this is only a matter of time. I understand. देखिए जो भी हुआ मैं भी पढ़ रहा था 1980s में कोई फायर लगी थी, उससे पहले हम चिप्स बनाने शुरू कर रहे थे. We were ahead of Korea. फिर कुछ फायर लगी और हमारा बंद हो गया. तो हमारे साथ 2 ट्रेजेडी रही हैं कि एक तो हम इंडिया में ना प्रॉब्लम होते ही घबरा जाते हैं. तो फायर लगी, हमने दोबारा खोलने की भी सोची एज अ कॉर्पोरेट, एज अ गवर्नमेंट, somehow I don't know क्यों. As well as you know CIA वगैरह ने उम्मी बाबा जी के साथ क्या किया और सबके साथ क्या वो भी all know. तो वो सब initially 60s, 70s, 80s में रहा. The good thing is things are changing at a very fast track. Big groups want to invest. मतलब मैं ये बता रहा हूँ, ये जो एक old economy group हैं, इनके अंदर one of the senior most person, उन्होंने day-to-day operations छोड़ के focusing on semiconductors and all. तो काफी चेंज हो रहा है डेवलपमेंट, बट अब प्रॉब्लम वही है कि इट विल टेक टाइम, दीज आर नॉट समथिंग आपने 2 साल 6 महीने में शुरू कर दिया, दिस विल टेक टाइम। दूसरा वो जो आपकी बैटरी लाइफ वाला है वो मैं इंटरेस्टिंग आपको बता रहा हूँ। सो वन ऑफ माय कजन्स इज वन ऑफ द टॉप मोस्ट people in aeronautics in America. So he joined last year a company which was creating flying car. So eVTOL कहते हैं इनको. तो अभी भी so all the people in the family was saying यार तो $1 million कम से कम साल की सैलरी कमा रहा होगा. तो मैंने ऐसी बात करी तो he said यार मेरी तो स्टार्टअप बंद होने वाली है and I'm looking for some other options. तो मैंने कहा क्यों? तो ये सर 20 मिनट होती है हमारी फ्लाइट का। वी वेंट टू डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ डिफेंस इन अमेरिका, तो बोले 20 मिनट वाली कार पे क्या है? तो पॉइंट ये है कि दैट इज अ प्रॉब्लम फ्रॉम यूएस टू इंडिया, सब जगह है। दैट इज आई थिंक अ बिगर चैलेंज इफ सर वुड बी डूइंग टेक्निकली बेटर, बट वहाँ भी वही प्रॉब्लम है कि आपकी क्योंकि वो कम टाइम होता है, दैट इज स्टिल अ चैलेंज। आई थिंक जो चैलेंज सबको पता होता है मैंने टेक्निकल
तो सॉल्व हो गई ओवर पीरियड टाइम,
वो सॉल्व हो जाता है ना, क्योंकि जो सबको पता होता है वो जनरली सॉल्व हो जाता है। प्रॉब्लम वो नहीं सॉल्व होती जो लोगों को दिख नहीं रही है।
But you don't think the semiconductor chips the problem should be resolved as early as possible.
वो सिर्फ काम हो ही रहा है, मतलब
सिर्फ काम हो रहा है। प्रॉब्लम यही है कि हजारों करोड़ का गेम है, इट टेक्स टाइम। तो
it's the most heavy activity.
I'll just tell you something about it. Okay, so if you look at the value chain of semiconductor fab itself, right? So there is a CMOS designed for 28 nanos below, right? So if you see by volume, the market as of now is 28 nanos plus, almost 70%. But by value it is almost 35%. You think India can come to angstroms? Like companies are looking at less than 1 nano also. See, we don't. I mean, this is a very high capital entry barrier that comes to the semiconductor fab. So if you see the intention of the country, we have almost have 13 projects, 1 fab and 80 new projects that have been rolled out for semiconductors. So packaging we are doing pretty well. But when it comes to the design part of it, the design automation as well as the fab, there's a long time to go.
Yeah.
Imagine we strategically must focus right now on 28 nano plus because that's where the market is and only competitor is China. And progressively I'm sure we will.
The dream of becoming a third largest economy can be possible only.
Of course, I mean, we and China were together 50 years back. Now they are second and we are third, but the gap is too much to handle.
No, the interesting thing is that China is sunsetting a lot of industries that India is saying that China का साथ में हम करेंगे, but probably that's a little bit of a issue. क्योंकि वो तो sunset करे यानी कि chemical हम नहीं बनाएंगे, polluting industries नहीं बनाएंगे, और India कह रही है हम बनाएंगे. So it's a little bit of a conundrum there. I think we should be moving up the value chain in terms of semiconductor design and so on and so forth, as sir said. But it is getting there. It's a lot of capex here. मतलब इतना आसान नहीं है कि एक फैब में आपको $2 billion लग जाते हैं.
इंडिया में हो रहा है फॉर एमएनसी डिजाइन एक्सेट्रा. इट इज ओनली अ मैटर ऑफ, जैसे मैं जिस ग्रुप की बात कर रहा हूँ, वो बेसिकली इंडिया में टैलेंट इज देयर. दे आर जस्ट सेइंग कि वो टैलेंट वांट्स टू क्रिएट देयर ओन स्टार्टअप्स एंड जॉइन दीस ग्रुप्स एक्सेट्रा.
Anyway, sir, take a couple more questions, I guess.
I'm Devesh.
Oh, you have a presentation as well. After that, we'll have the presentation, and then I think sir has to leave by about 12:10, and supposed to do this. Yeah. So we'll take a couple of questions, then we'll have the presentation. In the meantime, sir, if you want to leave, absolutely not a problem. We'll wrap up after that, sir.
Thanks for the opportunity. I'm Devesh. Yesterday I was in a semiconductor knowledge session. So ISM 2.0, which has been announced, and the policies for which will be declared soon. In that means the government of India is trying to create an ecosystem, inclusive ecosystem, in which MSMEs also can come, say, with low barrier investment, not very high investment. My idea to question you, sir, here is that means for MSME level, they say $2-3 million, not hundreds of $millions. In that investment, say packaging as combo, OSAT, that is very investment intensive. But say in low barrier investment, still some packaging, advanced testing and packaging solutions are there. So for MSMEs, what components for the drones, for the space tech, for the defense tech, they can manufacture and supply when the ISM 2.0 takes shape really.
So, okay. See, like you have said, coming to the real fab and the systems level, The big large MNCs are into it and we are also trying to set up. But if in fact we made a proposal to the government of MP, which is like making MP electronics manufacturing over the next 5 years. So that has three components to it. One is the large scale manufacturers, but they cannot really survive without the ecosystem which is of the MSMEs. But unfortunately, MSMEs also they are into low wage manufacturing right now. So they also have to really up their game and then get into the assembly lines and low value component manufacturing. All they are still doing. Memories and all they're already there. But when it comes to the deep tech, when it comes to the high skill, high value manufacturing and all, I think MSME neither they have the wherewithal or they have the ecosystem which is actually possible to do that. But yeah, I mean, wherever this kind of ecosystem develops for the semiconductor, I'm sure MSMEs have a very important role to play. And then there are a lot of schemes for the government which are actually, in fact, state governments are giving a lot of incentives for the MSMEs to take on multiple roles when it comes to the semiconductor.
Excellent,
One short question here. So, which ecosystem, say, like PhD Chamber of Commerce, which can create an ecosystem to bridge that the requirements of the drone manufacturers and to come up with the supply lines that, okay, these are the components which can be conveniently manufactured, designed, manufactured, researched and developed by MSME sector, by inclusivity, by policy makers.
I don't know, PhD chambers do we have some kind of a study there looking at what components MSMEs can target?
Not exactly.
So I think
Such a bridging gap is essential. And this bridge gap can boost.
no, certainly quite well taken. That's the way to go forward.
Thank you so much. If there are no more questions, I think we probably wrap up with the presentation from SIDBI. And I would like to showcase something. To do your culture, if you want to see the presentation, or to your culture. Okay. How long is the presentation? Okay. All right. Please, sir. All right.